It says I'm live. Let's hope so. So let's see. We seem to have it up and running and people can attend now. It's not on private. So hopefully we can get this going somehow. I have a very noisy keyboard. Let's just share this out on Twitter and we can go from there. And I'll reply to we can get more people here. That everybody's enjoying the spring or fall, depending on your position on this earth. I don't know, maybe that sounds wrong. And really loud. Oh, sweet bear. I can't wait for more. I just love the herb. About that, uploading next Thursday. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, my internet is super slow and it's lagging for me as well. So, oh no. No, it still says it's live for me. Wonderful. Okay, we're back. Yay, we're back. We can live with that. Like I say, my internet has been terrible lately. I've been uploading a video for about 18 hours that should have taken maybe an hour. I would, X, I would. I'm blaming it on the internet, so we'll see. So I'll start with a short story. This one is from an old pulp magazine that in haunted woodlands of his own somber creation that he transcended the literary by the sheer magic of his prose. Something of that same magic gleams in the darkly tapestried little fantasy presented here beneath Evelyn Smith's eerily enchanted wand. So, well, that was a nice introduction for her. A man in dimensions unknown. The Doorway by Evelyn E. Smith. It is my theory, Professor Falabella, on two or more divergent planes, very much like the parthenogenesis of unicellular animals. Delicious cookies there, Mrs. Hughes. Thank you, Professor, Gloria simpered. I made them myself. You must give us the recipe, said one of the ladies, and the other murmured agreement, glad to get momentous, as individuals imagine, Professor Falabella continued, and since the imagination of the average individual is very limited, many of these different planes, or as they are colloquial, or have you guys heard this before? Narrated on the channel. Maybe I've just... Gloria rose unobtrusively, so as to avoid having to wash Professor Falabella. I can hear him perfectly well from here, Bill muttered, and indeed the professor's mellifluent tones pervaded every nook and cranny of the thin-walled home. Long-winded cultist. What is he a professor of, I'd like to know? Professor Falabella is not a cultist, affirmed Gloria angrily. He's a philosopher. Bill Hughes said something unprintable. If I'd married Lucy Allison, he continued unkindly, she'd have never filled the house with long-haired cultists on my so-called day of rest. Gloria's soft chin trembled, her blue eyes filled with tears. She was beginning to put on weight, he noticed. I've been hearing nothing but Lucy Allison, Lucy Allison, Lucy Allison for the past year. You said yourself she looked like a horse. Horses, he observed, have sense. He was being brutal, but he couldn't help it, and didn't want to. Professor Falabella was only the most long-winded of a series of mystics Gloria was forever dragging into the house. The trouble with the half-educated, he thought bitterly, is that they seek culture in the most peculiar places. I'll bet she would have let me have my piece on Sunday, he said. It just goes to show what happens when you marry a woman solely for her looks. He drained the bottle, then hurled it into the garbage pail with a resounding crack. Gloria's shoulders shook as she filled the kettle. I wish I'd decided to be an old maid, she sobbed. A very unlikely possibility, he thought. Even now, shop-worn as she was, Gloria could have a fairly wide range of suitors should something happen to him. She looked sexy, but how deceiving appearances could be. Professor Falabella was still talking as Bill and Gloria emerged from the kitchen. I believe that it's possible for an individual who exists on a limited plane of imagination to transpose from one plane to an adjacent. Smiled nervously. The house is haunted. My dear, one of the ladies offered. I know of the most marvelous exterminator. The house, Gloria assured her coldly, really is haunted. We've been seeing things ever since we moved in. And she really believed it, thought Bill. We doing okay? Is it still in and out? Welcome, Paul, Aria, Laura. Have I missed anybody? I think I've got everybody. I hope it's still working. Okay. Onward. And she really believed it, Bill thought. Believed that the house was haunted, that is. Of course, he had seen things too, but he was enlightened enough to know that Gloria didn't exist. Well, that would be... He was enlightened enough to know that ghosts don't exist, even if you do see them. Professor Falabella cleared his throat. As I was saying, it is possible to send the individual through another, same temporal plane. It is merely necessary for him to find the door. Nonsense, Bill interrupted. Wholly unmitigated nonsense. Excuse me. Every head swiveled to look at him. Gloria restrained tears with an effort. Brute, someone muttered. But ridicule only stimulated the professor. He beamed. You don't believe me. Your imagination cannot extend to the comprehensive of the multifarious of space. Nonsense, Bill said again, but less confidently. I believe that I have discovered the doorway, Professor Falabella continued, and the way is open. However, most people fear to penetrate the unknown, even though it is to enter another phase of their own existence. I do admit that the shock of spatial transference, no matter how slight, combined with the concrete awareness of a previous spatial relationship, would be perhaps too much for the keenly sensitive individualism. Bill opened his mouth. I know what you're about to say, young man. You don't have to be a mind reader to know that, Bill assured him. His consonants were already a little slurred, and he knew Gloria was ashamed of him. It served her right. He'd been ashamed of her for years. Professor Falabella smiled. His teeth were very sharp and white. Very well, Mr. Hughes, since you are a skeptic, perhaps you will not object to being the subject of our experiment yourself. What kind of experiment? Bill asked suspiciously. Merely go through the door. Any door can become the doorway if it is transposed into the proper spatial dimension. That door, for instance. Professor Falabella waved his hand towards the doorway of what Gloria liked to call Bill's study. "You mean you just want me to open the door and go into that room?" asked Bill incredulously. "That's all?" "That is all. Of course you go with the awareness that it is a threshold of another plane, and that you step voluntarily from this existence into an adjacent one." "Sure," Bill said. He had just remembered there was a nearly full box of Calverts in the bottom drawer of the desk. "Sure. Anything to oblige." "Very well. Go to the door, and keep remembering that of your own free will you are passing from this plane to the next." "Look out, everybody," Bill called raucously as he pulled open the door firmly behind him. A wonderful excuse to get away from those blasted women. He climbed out of the window as soon as he had collected the whiskey and give them a nervous moment, thinking he'd really passed into another existence. It would serve Gloria right. For a moment, as he crossed, he had a queer sensation. Maybe there was something in what Professor Falabella said. But no, there he was. He appreciated the fact. Taking a cigarette out of the package in his pocket, he reached for the lighter on his desk. It wasn't there. Time and time again he'd told Gloria not to touch his things, and she'd always disobeyed him. Company was coming, and she must tidy up. Cooking and cleaning, that was all she was good for. But this was carrying tidiness too far. She'd even removed the ashtrays. And where did the glass block paperweight come from? He had a penguin in a snowstorm he'd been happy with. This was too much. He'd tell Gloria off. Stealing a man's penguin! He opened the door into the living room and bumped into Lucy Allison. "Don't you think you've been in there long enough, Bill?" she asked acridly. "I'm sure your guests would appreciate catching a glimpse of you." "Why, hello, Lucy," he said, surprised. "I didn't know Gloria had invited you." "Gloria, Gloria, Gloria!" Lucy cut across his sentence. "You've been talking about nothing but that dumb little blonde for months." Because of the people in the room beyond, her voice was pitched low, but her pale eyes glittered gently, caressingly. The short hairs on the back of Bill's neck rose. "Come back here," Lucy said, hauling him back into the living room, where a number of people who had been enjoying the domestic fracas suddenly broke into loud, animated chatter. "Dr. Hildebrandt was telling us about nuclear fission." "Can't find an ashtray," Bill muttered, seizing on something tangible. "Can't find an ashtray in the whole darn place." "We've been over this millions of times, Bill. You know." She smiled at her guest, a smile that carefully excluded the house. "Now, take the neutrons, for example," Dr. Hildebrandt said through a mouthful of pâté. "What is the neutron? It is only... What was that?" The wraith of Gloria crossed the foyer and disappeared. Bill took a step forward and then stood still. Lucy smiled self-consciously. "That's nothing at all. The house is merely haunted." Everyone laughed. "Forgot something," Bill muttered, and dashed back into the study. He yanked open the bottom drawer of the desk. Sure enough, there was a bottle of Schendley, nearly a third full. "There's some advantages," he thought, as he tilted it to his lips, in having a limited imagination. Okay, story to start us off. How is everyone doing? If this is cutting out really, really badly, I will give it a break. What do you say, guys? Is it still there? Is it still... What? You've got storms. Yeah, I've got sunny sky, a little chilly, but I've got, and oh, hi Kenny. I'm trying. I might cut this fairly short then. Let's see. The big thing that's coming up, yeah, drop frames detected. I'll probably cut this short, and I've got, I'm talking at a conference in October as myself, and Madame Raven, and the kind of clash of real life in this is kind of making me nervous. Thank you so much. Paul, How to Survive Camping is far from over. I'm nearly to the end of the 3rd book, but she is well into the 4th. So, yeah, there's going to be camping for a long time to come. And, yeah, if you want to tell me what else you guys want to see on here, that would be great. Also, a lot of because this is live and not edited and off the cuff. This speech I'm supposed to do in October. Pastas probably aren't going to play too well, but I was going to talk about my history with the paranormal and my investigations, skinwalkers, maybe a bit about the Fae theory of missing 411. So, oh yeah, Paul, it's still going on for a long time. But, what do you guys think? What else should I speak about? And what else do you want to see on my channel? Things have been kind of crazy. I've been taking care of people in my family this winter, which is why I had kind of a hard time keeping up with the channel and making sure I had episodes every week, even though I did it, yay. But, yeah. Is there any type of story you would like to see? Any true stories? More skinwalker stories? The missing 411 videos are very popular, and I really should do some more. But they do take a lot more time to research and write, which I haven't had time for. Camping and the Fae. Yeah. Camping's going to continue. There sounds like there's cryptid stuff, dogmen, skinwalkers. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I could do some more of that. I haven't been on the Skinwalker site. I haven't talked to my contacts, my authors there in a bit. I could do another live stream with Danana. I'm pronouncing his name wrong, and I apologize. That was my last live stream. These are interesting. So I had someone tell me that there was a family of Bigfoot that came and ate out of the dumpster of the Chinese restaurant in town because it was facing the mountain from town. There was but there was like fields in between. I don't know how they'd get there. So I've only heard that from one person, and I haven't followed that. There's some very interesting places to explore around here. Some places that have been on Ghost Adventures, and they did St. Anne's Nunnery, and they're doing another place close by. And there was Logan Canyon had the Bigfoot Hunters. I can't remember what their show was.